In the midst of an Auschwitz death row selection process, an angel in the form of a German prisoner named Willy Brockman appeared and just as quickly disappeared, in the process shoving Frank Grunwald from one select group of young boys into another. In those seconds, Frank realized that Willy's stunning action had literally transferred him from a death sentence to life. All because fellow Auschwitz prisoner Dina Gottlieb introduced her boyfriend Willy to her newly acquainted young friend Frank, and the two became allies.
Because I was called in German Läufer, his errand boy. And
he was a Nazi?
And no, he was a German prisoner.
Okay.
He was not Jewish, but he was a German prisoner. It was really clever on the part of the SS. They made him in charge of the Jewish family camp. And that way they didn't have to deal with a Jew. They basically dealt basically
with a German.
Directly with a German Aryan person. And he was a criminal. He was put in the camp because he did either killed somebody or burglarized somebody, or he might have been possibly a political prisoner where he said something or did something against
Hitler.
The Hitler regime. We don't know. So I interviewed with him and I became his errand boy. I stuck with him for the next 8 or 9 months, as long as I was in Auschwitz.
Did you have to ask your parents for permission?
No. It was just a godsend. It was something that I knew was going to help me and my family, because I was immediately in a position of safety. I was able to get better clothing, better food. I was part of the select group of prisoners now because of my position with a relationship to Willy.
Did that create jealousy among other people, or even with your brother?
I wasn't aware of it. I was never aware of any jealousy. It was common for some of the boys to be errand boys for some of the higher level prisoners in the camp. Actually, they were also errand boys for some of the SS, which I never was.
Do you think you would have done that, though?
Would I have?
Yeah, if they'd asked you?
I probably wouldn't have had any choice.
Okay.
Somebody asked me to do it. I probably would have not been able to say no, but I'm kind of glad that I wasn't asked to do it.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
Was your mother okay with it?
Oh, yeah. I think she was very happy that happened.
Protection for her son.
Yeah.
Now we advance to January, and what happens?
Now we are still in the family camp, and life goes on, and we within 2 or 3 weeks of being there, we all, including myself, realized that this is an extermination camp. I mean, it didn't take a great genius to figure out that, for many reasons, to figure out that this is an extermination camp, that people are being killed on a daily basis. And the reason we knew this is, number one, reports by what people say. Number two, the smell from the chimneys and the smell of the human flesh. And the tremendous amount of ashes, the ash that's coming off the chimneys, and depending on the wind, what direction the wind is coming from, you are literally inhaling it, you were breathing it, it was getting into your hair, it was settling everywhere. So this human ash is now floating through the air if the wind is coming your way from the chimneys. And this happened, several days during the week. Then you know that there are transports coming in because you can see people arriving. And sometimes arriving and being put into a barrack, like next door to you. Through the fence you can see other barracks, other isolated camps next to you. And you can see people being put in for a day or so and then disappearing. the next day or 2 days later. So you know that people are being killed on a daily basis.
Was this something that as a child, like did someone tell you this, explain this to you, or did it evolve as a realization?
It came from both. It came from narratives, from people making those comments, but also came from real experience by seeing the flames, smelling, and seeing the huge amount of ash that's coming down. I mean, it's hard to explain how much the layer of ash that was on everything after a few days of gassing and crematoria burning.
Did you ever ask your parents? Did you ever talk about it to try to say?
Yeah, I spoke about it. I said, this is an extermination camp. People are being killed by the thousands. I got absolutely no response.
From your mom?
From my mom and from my father. Even though they knew what was going on and they were aware of it, even more than I was, I got no response. I wasn't even told, you are right.
Again, trying to protect you in some way,
I guess so. I don't know. I guess so.
And not to belabor the point, but when you talk about the ashes and being on you as you go about your day, it had to be an assault at first, but after a while, does it just become part of, it's what it is? Like, do you even try to wipe them off?
Yeah, it's what it is. You don't, if you thought about it, the good thing about it is we didn't see the people being killed. We didn't hear the cries of the people being killed. So
why were they far away?
They were too far away for that. The noise was typically what happened. You know what sometimes happened, what I remember every day or every other day, I hear this revving of truck engines. Okay? So imagine 7 or 8 or 10 trucks or 15 trucks, I don't know how many, suddenly revving up their engines for several minutes. I found out after the war that was the camouflage, to camouflage the screams of the people that were being gassed. Of course, when I heard those engines scream like that, I had no idea why they were doing that.
Right.
But after the war, I found out. In April of 1944, the group that came in September, the September transport that Dina came in with, Dina and her mother, was told that they're going to be shipped to Germany, to another camp. And
is that good news?
Well, apparently some people believed it, some people didn't. I was still naive, so I believed it, that they were being shipped out. I found out after the war that they were all gassed in April, that they were all put on trucks. They were taken out of the camp to make it look like they're being truly deported. And then apparently the trucks came back another way and through another gate and directly into the gas chambers and crematoria, and they were all killed, almost 5,000 of them. And I found this out after the war. I didn't know this. It was termed or called by some historians, Czech historians and Jewish historians, as those 2 days that it took them to kill those 5,000 people in gas chambers, a day and a half. It was the biggest murder of Czech citizens in the history of Czechoslovakia. That was April of 44. In July of 44, we were told to get ready for a medical examination, what was called a selection. So we, meaning the remaining 5,000 that came in December, were told to undress. It was outside, it was a July day, July 6th, I think, of 44. And so I was with a bunch of kids outside. My shirt off. I was with my brother, actually. And these boys were anywhere from the age of 5 or 6 to the age of 15 or 16. And so there could have been a couple of hundred of us there. And we promenaded right in front of 2 or 3 SS officers, including Joseph Mengele. And I went through, and Mengele pointed me immediately to the left. And my brother, who had a slight limp, he had a birth defect. One of his legs was weaker than the other, and he was limping. Mengele immediately pointed him to the left. And I noticed a group of older boys, maybe 14-year-old boys, on my right. And so I'm standing there in this group, and it's hot, and I'm uncomfortable. And we are just standing there and waiting. And suddenly, from nowhere, Willy Brockman came up to me very quickly, and he grabbed me by my shoulder, and he shoved me, almost pushed me over into this group of 15-year-olds and disappeared. He didn't say a word to me. He just grabbed me, shoved me over there. That whole procedure took perhaps 14 seconds. Maybe 16 seconds. He was gone. And it was at that moment that I realized that Willy Brockman just saved my life.